for renewable energy and energy efficiency. SADC. Institutional partners include IRENA, the International Renewable Energy Agency, IREC, the International Off-Grid Renewable Energy Conference and Exhibition, UNIDO, GNSEC, SOLTRAIN, and the Austrian Development Corporation. You're encouraged, dear delegate, to please engage with your program for today in order to establish the profiles of the various speakers. Until then, please note that this program is beginning very shortly. You're kindly advised to please take your seat. Ideally, kindly take residence of seats that are closer to the front than further to the back. You're kindly reminded to please always keep your conference lanyard or name tag on you for ease of identification and access to various locations during this event. The 2024 SADC Sustainable Energy Week is proudly sponsored by Konrad Adenauer Stiftung, who are also inviting you for a networking cocktail a little bit later today at 6 p.m. at the Grand Palm Marquee. Prime Health, who have also availed a mobile clinic in these premises for your convenience. Gabs FM, who broadcasted live the official opening that took place on Monday. The projects, Okavango Diamond Company, BERA, Botswana Energy Regulatory Authority, Botswana Oil, Botswana Power Corporation, and Bofinet. Your directors of ceremony for this event are Mudiri Mugende and Oratile Jazal Gebakile. Very shortly, we'll be introducing you to the moderator for SOLTRAIN Gender Mainstreaming. She will then shortly call upon her panelists and presenters, who include a keynote speaker, being our Minister of Youth and Gender Affairs in Botswana, as well as a presentation by the team from SOLTRAIN Plus on bridging the gender gap in renewable energy. Thank you for your kind attention. Thank you for your kind patience. Please be advised that we are just on standby to receive some of our featured speakers in this segment of the session. Thank you so much for the SOLTRAIN's presence, and thank you so much for our moderator's presence. We'll be kicking off shortly. Thank you for your patience. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the SOLTRAIN Plus Gender Mainstreaming. Please do receive on the podium your moderator for the session, Ms. Lebo Sibobi, ESG and Impact Manager at Sadc, capital, Botswana. Please receive her with a round of applause.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome again to this beautiful afternoon session of the SOLTRAIN conference. My name is Lebo Sibobi. This session is going to be a bit different from the normal. We're going to have a keynote address, obviously by our Honorable Minister, and then from there we're going to have 3 presentations. But just to jump onto this to the session, today we're going to be discussing gender mainstreaming and SOLTRAIN. We want to see and explore sustainable strategies to close the gender energy gap and to help women feel appreciated in participating in energy, issues of energy. So ladies and gentlemen, the energy sector has been widely recognized as one of the least diverse industries, fostering active and inclusionary engagement and participation of all social segments, including women and youth, is essential for facilitating a fair, affordable equitable transition towards a more sustainable energy landscape. We need to maintain an equilibrium between intersectionality and gender inclusion, addressing issues of energy, poverty, accessibility, affordability, and comprehensive development. And I am proud to say that we can achieve this with organizations like SOLTRAIN, which have proven to be very instrumental in helping the region, not only Botswana, in bridging the existing gap. So ladies and gentlemen, to discuss this further, I am going to call upon stage 3 of our presenters. The first one to call on stage is Ms. Salma Festus. Ms. Salma Festus, she is the Gender Core Team Member for SOLTRAIN for SACRI, which is Sadc, Center for Renewable Energy and Efficiency. To call on stage, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Ms. Kate Mapare. Ms. Kate Mapare will be sharing her success story of a woman who is in this male-dominated industry. We're going to learn about her journey in being able to come up with companies like Solar One. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Mapare on stage. We will also call upon on stage Mr. Wapita Olin. She is Botswana SOLTRAIN Gender Manager. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome for Ms. Olin. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to call upon on stage our highly honorable Minister of Gender. Please. Mrs. Lesego Chombo. To start upon our session, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium our Honorable Minister, Ms. Lesego Chombo, to give us a keynote address. She is going to be discussing the topic on gender mainstreaming and SOLTRAIN. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again for Mrs. Chombo.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hi. I'm sorry, I'm the young minister, so I tend to expect a lot of energy. Pun intended. Good afternoon to you all. I am very excited that I managed to make it for this event. When I arrived outside, I thought, I'm so jealous. Everything seems so well organized and the setups, and I only get to show up for an hour. What a shame, I have been deprived. But nonetheless, I am grateful to be here. Allow me to thank you all for making the time to partake in this very important engagement. Let me recognize any honorable ministers from SADC countries and Botswana. Let me recognize the Austrian ambassador and representatives of the Austrian development agencies, the members of the diplomatic corps, representatives from SADC Secretariat, leadership of SOLTRAIN, IRENA, UNIDO, leadership of SACRI, permanent secretaries, deputy permanent secretaries, CEOs, heads of parastatals, captains of industry. I have a few more to mention, please bear with me. leadership of tertiary institutions, senior government officials, I think the most important of them all the delegates here present today, the members of the media who are going to ensure that I look very pretty, and all distinguished guests, thank you and good afternoon. Today marks a very important day as we converge to discuss on a very pertinent subject. I was just in the holding room with various members of SOLTRAIN, and one thing that I mentioned to them is, I aspire to see a world, especially a Botswana, where topics such as energy affect every single Botswana, not just those who are interested in it by virtue of their trade, not those who are interested in it by virtue of it being their businesses or by virtue of it being their careers. But the same way when we say diamonds, every Botswana listens. The same way when we say mining, every Botswana listens. I hope that in the next 5 years, we'll be able to lay that incredible foundation for all children, for all young people, and for all Botswana to be interested and to be aware when we speak of sustainable energy. And so let me thank you all and thank all the organizers of this engagement as we discuss this pertinent subject at the margins of Sustainable Energy Week, especially focusing on the subject of gender mainstreaming within this sector. Now, for the next 5 years, you will always hear me say gender and young people, and I intend to squeeze them in everywhere. And I mean everywhere. And I'm glad that I did not have to squeeze them in this time, but issues of gender mainstreaming sit at the very heart of this Sustainable Energy Week. So thank you for that. I will start by highlighting the Sustainable Development Goal 7, which calls on us to ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, modern, and clean energy for all. Those are the key words, for all. This Sustainable Development Goal is fully aligned to Sustainable Development Goal number 5, which speaks on achieving gender equality and empowering all women and girls. The Sustainable Development Goals clearly point out to us the direction that we cannot achieve the 2030 agenda without recognizing and internationally engaging women and girls in the development plan. Now, it is imperative to note that gender equality is not just a women's issue, and that the empowerment of women and girls is central to all developmental processes at all levels. The constant engagement of women and girls is critical to the realization of sustainable development goals and to the realization of, I prefer to say, equity over equality, because when we look at the state of affairs, both in our country and globally, is that we need to be enforcing and implementing equity. And in spaces where we see that women are lagging behind, we need to always give them that preferential treatment so that they are aligned and at the same level with everyone as the world develops. As UN Women says, that the achievement of full human potential and of sustainable development is not possible if one half of humanity continues to be denied its full human rights and opportunities. I'll say that again. The achievement of full human potential, the potential that will benefit us all, by the way, the achievement of this full human potential and that of sustainable development, which again will benefit us all, is not possible if one half of humanity continues to be denied its full human rights and opportunities. And according to the tracking of Sustainable Development Goal number 7, the Energy Progress Report of 2022 and other reports highlight that 9% of the global population still lacks to modern electricity. That is quite high. That 2.4 billion people relied on wood, on coal, on charcoal, animal waste for cooking and heating in 2020. That household air pollution from using polluting fuels and technologies for cooking cost some 3.2 million deaths in 2019, disproportionately affecting women and children due to higher exposure. It also highlights that energy is the dominant contributor to climate change, accounting for more than 75% of total global greenhouse gas emissions. And lastly, that the share of renewable energy in total final energy consumption increased slightly to 17.7% as of 2019. I'm very happy that I'm stating these statistics to experts. And so this is just reiterating the knowledge that you already have on these issues and stamping the need to truly be inclusive and truly mainstream gender in issues or in topics of energy. And so let me challenge you today that as we move forward to closing the Sustainable Development Goals, we focus on inclusion and participation, and that we leave no one behind. I will stress what I mean when I say no one. That we consider gender inequalities, that we embrace and specifically plan for persons with disabilities, and that we plan for young people, that we adopt human rights-based programming informed by the risks and opportunities that strengthen partnerships. Now, noting that women make up about 1/5 of the energy workforce, the energy sector truly needs to appreciate the gender disparities that prevail and acknowledge that women as energy consumers and energy producers should be key decision makers in global energy security. Addressing gender disparities in the energy sector is therefore central to advancing energy transitions. Truly, truly essential. But now, despite being the highest energy consumers and producers, women remain underrepresented in jobs in the energy sector. But I'm very happy to see you ladies. And they accounted for only 20% in 2018, and in the solar industry, they make up to more than 25% of workers. And in cognizance of the limited number of women entering the science, technology, artificial intelligence, engineering, and mathematics sectors, there is true potent need to promote vocational training through which young women can acquire basic skills to secure jobs in the STEM space. Earlier this week, I was delivering my response to His Honor the Vice President's budget speech and the Minister of Finance. And one of the things that we highlighted, which I highlighted to be my favorite or amongst my favorites in this new administration, is that of vocational training. And I spoke on how vocational training still needs to be done the right way. It is very incredible. It will help us to bridge the gaps that exist with young women, with women as a whole, and with young people. But it needs to be done right by actually including them. And it needs to be done right by training on essential topics, by training on important areas that align with where we are today. And I'm happy to say that the space of science, technology, artificial intelligence, engineering, and mathematics are quite necessary in that regard. Now, one critical area for women's economic empowerment is developing their skills for climate change mitigation and adaptation. On this note, let me share the Botswana story, which I am very proud of, that the government of Botswana, in collaboration with UN Women, sponsored by De Beers Group, have partnered under a program called Entrepreneur, which is an accelerated women-owned micro-enterprises program. And it's aimed to capacitate women on business management skills for the sustainability of their businesses. And just this past week, 26 women were trained in the Jwaneng and Mabutsani area, which is the southern part of the country. and they were trained on climate-smart agriculture. This is in recognition that climate-smart agriculture is pivotal to food security, that it can reduce emissions released into the atmosphere, and this training also enhanced knowledge in climate change and in strengthened capacity of women and youth farmers to adapt, which is a very important thing in this day and age, adaptability, for them to adapt and sustain crop productivity under the changing climate. Now, it might sound like just a technical thing to have been done, but the communities that we deal with under the Entrepreneur Program are economically disadvantaged communities. The women that we deal with are women who are teaching from scratch on how to start their businesses and how to build their business, how to grow their businesses. And I think that it is quite a commendable thing to do, that this government is doing, to not only include women in various spheres, but to ensure that we include women from the ground up. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as the minister responsible for youth and gender, I cannot talk about gender alone when addressing issues as critical as energy. Young people in Botswana remain disproportionately marginalized in all sectors of the economy, and yet they constitute over 60% of our community's population. And according to the 2022 statistics, the Botswana labor force stands at just over 500,000, with over 300,000 who remain not in school, not in employment, and not in training. Now, to all Botswana, this is a song that has been sung for many years, but it will soon change. We truly believe that unless something is done to lift these young women and men from the sidelines of poverty to the front lines of economic engagement, this country truly faces potential national challenges that may lead to what is commonly known as youthquake. And so the green energy space particularly presents a frontier for possible investment and participation by young people. I repeat, before I got on the stage, I had 5 minutes to ensure that this investment and participation by young people will indeed be viable and will be implemented in partnership with SOLTRAIN. And these are discussions that I'm personally very excited to be having so that we can advance our country forward. And as the minister responsible for youth, we will continue as the ministry to actively advocate to create opportunities for young people to venture into the green energy space so as to propel the country's economy to greater heights. Now, in conclusion, I wish to emphasize that women and girls are the worst impacted by energy poverty, that the lack of access to modern energy affects their quality of life. And in this government, we always speak of human rights, the most important right obviously being the right to live. And so as I emphasize that women are highly affected and affects their quality of lives, that is our call to action, a call to action that I'm proud to see is already being answered by virtue of this training. And so let us leave this engagement with this one key message that, I quote, access to affordable, sustainable, safe, and clean energy is a precondition to achieving Sustainable Development Goal number 5 and for empowering women and girls. And one area that I'm particularly passionate about when we speak of empowerment is awareness and inclusion of those who do not have access. And those who do not have access, I mean those who are not in Gaborone today with us, in GICC. Some are in Gaborone but are not in GICC with us today. Some are watching us, but there are some who aren't watching us. I'm talking of communities that cannot read about it, communities that don't have network, communities that have people who actually cannot read, communities of people who will never hear about it, will never know about it until we personally take it to them. Communities that have been living in generation and generation of poverty. Ra ba itse Batswana? Do we know the communities that I speak of? Do we? In my other life, I am passionate about community service and the foundation that which I work for. Anytime we pick a community, I say, I want a name that I've never heard of before in Botswana, that I've never heard of before, that we never hear about on television, that ministers never go to, communities that don't have ministries, district offices, schools, clinics, not even health posts. Those are the communities that which I speak of. And those are the communities that when we speak of inclusion, we must ensure that we truly involve. And so I urge all of you to meditate on it and to think about it, that when we speak about energy and we speak about it at such a high level, what of the ordinary Motswana who's not at that high level, who will never get to sit in this room and to listen to us or to watch about it or to read about it? What are we doing to include them as we foster and pave a way for our country's elevation and for the upliftment of all Botswana at large? Late last year, I was invited to the Climate Change Forum in Paris, and I was asked what I think the factor limiting women and youth participation is in the environment and energy space. And amongst other things, I spoke about an analysis that I have personally made, that such spaces are considered a luxury for the rich and able. What do you think about that? An ordinary Motswana who is living in poverty, not just Motswana, across the world, people who live in dire poverty, ba ileng gore tota ga bana le one metsi. They are fighting for their lives on a daily basis. Do we believe that if we were to bring these issues to them and talk about sustainability and energy and protecting our environment, is that something that they would be open to when they're thinking about what their next meal is? Would they? I think not. I think that if I was fighting for my life and I had children to take care of, who needed water, who needed food, if I had minimal to no access to my necessities of life, I would think that this space is a luxury for the rich and for those who are able. And so inclusion means leveling the playing field for everyone to be able to participate. Inclusion means equity. It means that if one particular person is able to participate by virtue of their education, by virtue of their access, by virtue of demographics, that's one element. But it means that we need to go down to the lower levels and cater for those who have a completely different life. And until we do that, specifically also with so much bias, until we include women and youth at all levels, levels of leadership. Yesterday, I'll give another example. We're currently working on beefing up our strategy for the Ministry of Youth. And in the room, we had 2 representatives from Botswana National Youth Council amongst our senior management. And I asked these 2 young ladies, why are you so quiet? You know, you need to speak more. You need to advocate for the young people. And they said, you know, our perspective is completely different. Sometimes we don't even say anything because we feel like no one else will relate. There's not enough of us in the room to put out what our perspective is and to drive our true mandate and align it with the needs that young people are faced with in this day and age, because we don't have enough youth in the room. And so these are some of the conversations that we need to ponder on as we strive to create a completely sustainable and equitable society in all areas including that of energy. I thank you very much for your audience, and I trust that you will enjoy the rest of this gender mainstreaming session. Remember, always women and young people. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, Minister for Youth and Gender Affairs, Ms. Lesego Chombo. And allow me to pass my sincere apologies for pronouncing you as the Mrs. Maybe I was just being prophetic. Ladies and gentlemen, on stage next, I'll call upon Ms. Salma Festus, who is a core member for the gender team for SACRI. She's going to give us a presentation, and she will be joined by Ms. Peter Olin as the gender manager for SOLTRAIN Botswana. Ladies and gentlemen, your time is now.
Well, if you've just joined us in the Tsodwile Suites, welcome to it. You've just missed a very powerful keynote address. This is the SOLTRAIN Plus Gender Mainstreaming, and our moderator in this session is Ms. Lebo Sibubi, ESG and Impact Manager at Northside Capital, Botswana. We're continuing. You've just missed out if you've just arrived. We just heard from Honorable Lesego Chombo, Minister of Youth and Gender Affairs in Botswana, and very shortly, handing over to Ms. Tawa Peter Olin, Botswana SOLTRAIN Plus Gender Manager.
Thank you so much, MC, and greetings, everyone. Honorable Minister, Ms. Lesego Chombo, and all the high-level dignitaries are gracing this event. What an honor to be presenting before you. In the interest of time, kindly allow me to observe all other protocols. As already mentioned, my name is Tawa Peter Olin, the Gender Manager for SOLTRAIN Botswana. We are the voices advocating for the inclusion of more women in the renewable heating and cooling sector. In SOLTRAIN, we believe that a sustainable future is powered by diversity. The reason why we introduce a work package on gender and diversity in our project, which we use to bridge the gender gap in the energy sector. How we drive our mandate is through an open, creative, and collaborative approach, which creates a very fun environment that attracts more women in this sector we are advocating for, because we are being supported by a very clear and simple, straightforward mission, which is to provide a safe and engaging place for each and everyone to foster growth and transformation. But is there a need, though, to bridge this gender gap in the renewable energy? Okay, do you think there's need? After all the previous speakers have said so much, so can I show by a raise of hands those of you who feel strong there is indeed a need to bridge this gender gap? Thank you so much, and I'm now calm because I believe now we are in the right topic. So we believe that by bridging this gap, it has a very impact on the future generation. Why? Because by having a significant participation in this renewable energy sector, on its own, it acts as a motivator for our younger generation who will have more interested to embark in this career, and hence, helping us achieve our mission. The other point which we strongly believe there is need is because diversity, it creates innovation. It fosters innovation and creativity, because through knowledge sharing, we believe there is an enhancement to better solution in the sector. To keep our ball rolling, we had implementation phases in place. The first one was the formation of gender and diversity team, which was done through the support of project partners in various countries, that is Botswana, Lesotho, South Africa, Zambia, and Namibia. The second one was done through the desktop analysis, whereby an overview of authentic documents, underline authentic documents, because at the end of the day, we need significant results. And overview of policies and roadmap into existing projects. The third one was the survey, which was done through establishment of interviews and questionnaire. We wanted to find out the barriers women or female, those hindrances which make them to embark into the energy sector, and come up with possible measures to address those. The other one was the fourth one was the implementation plans, whereby they were done through developing specific gender activities which feeds into the already existing work streams. Then the final one, which is in place, is monitoring and evaluation. We are developing tools because we have realized the importance of continually feeding into this loop. If we were in an industrial engineering, because an industrial engineer by profession, we would say it's a Kaizen process. Through the survey that was done, the findings we found that there were indeed barriers. The survey was not only limited to female. The participation was open to both women and men. And it was found that there were, from all those barriers which were indicated, we found out the top the four outstanding ones were the ones which were leading, like lack of awareness, lack of training. So now we have said, okay, now since our aim is to bridge those gaps, what are the measures which we have in place to mitigate those? Remember, I'm not sailing those boats alone, so I'll hand over to Ms. Festus to take us through the measures that SOLTRAIN has in place to address those identified barriers. Thank you and for your attention. Over to you, Ms. Festus.
A very good afternoon to everybody. Allow me to recognize the presence of Honorable Minister Lesego Hombo, I hope I pronounced that correct, as well as allow me to recognize the presence of ADA, which is the Austrian Development Corporation, as well as the presence of our Executive Director, which is Mr. Kudakwashe Lukula, that's for SACRI. As introduced, my name is Selma Festus, and I'm a project assistant at SACRI. To proceed, thank you, Tower, for the wonderful presentation. I will be taking you through the measures that SOLTRAIN has put in place in order to mitigate the barriers that my colleague has mentioned before. Okay, so through SOLTRAIN Plus, we have put in place measures such as bursaries. We have bursary schemes. So this is a measure that we put in place in order to empower women. So allow me to give you or to present to you the statistics of this measure. So in SOLTRAIN, we have published 30 bursary calls, and out of these calls, only 11 were awarded to female. So we see now the need to really create that awareness to the community, to raise and increase the participation of women in such activities. So these bursaries are only awarded within the SOLTRAIN project partner countries, and by country representation, as you can see, it's Lesotho. We have awarded 3 PhD students. In Mozambique, we have 1. In Namibia, we have 3. And in Zimbabwe, we have 1. So as I'm sure the Botswanas that we have here, they are wondering as to why is Botswana not represented in this. So we are now trying to increase this awareness to the women of Botswana in this conference room to please make use of the SOLTRAIN strategies or activities that are there, so that you please do look out for such opportunities, bursaries being one of them. Moving on through SOLTRAIN, we also empower women through trainings. So within the project partner countries, we offer trainings through the national focal points. So we do encourage that women do reach out to these national partners and do attend these trainings. These trainings is meant for artisans, it's meant for engineers as well as policymakers. And as you can see by the graph, the percent of women that attend trainings is very low. So I would say on average, it's just 25% of women that attend these trainings. So throughout various awareness raising activities that we do, be it at seminars or be it at technical tours, we do encourage that women really do come forth and attend such trainings, because they'll equip you or they'll even prepare you to be an entrepreneur. You can run your own business once you are equipped with what the trainings are on. I'm sure we can become entrepreneurs through that. So through SOLTRAIN also, we have a measure which is to carry out online meetups. So we started with this initiative last year, 2024. So far we had carried out 6 sessions. So what we do is we encourage our gender managers to run these discussions. So they come up with a topic, of course relating to the barriers that have been indicated. They come up with a topic, they lead the discussion, and we invite different people. We do this, we carry out these invitations through our social media handles, which is of course through LinkedIn, through Twitter, as well as YouTube and our SOLTRAIN website. So as I've indicated, 6 sessions have been executed, and I would say that the participation of women is slightly low. I would presume that is because it's a new initiative that we have, and also the outreach that we set out does not reach the women that much, but we try and improve on how we communicate this message out. Okay, so indeed, SOLTRAIN is not just about the bursary scheme, the trainings or the online meetups. We also have success outputs that our gender managers had gone through. This is, for instance, them having the opportunity to present at international as well as local or national conferences. So as you can see, we have our gender manager. By the way, he's male, so it's Mr. Bekani Ntuli. He's from Sanedi, that's in South Africa. So he presented on the work package to various people or stakeholders at the Johannesburg conference that was held, as well as we have Ms. Peter Olintawa. She also presented at the local or national training they had on SOLTRAIN. And then, of course, there's myself presenting at the ISEC conference on the activities we do within the work package. So I will highlight the opportunities again that women really can make use of within the project. We have the bursary opportunities. So I've indicated that these are offered to master students as well as PhD students. Of course, you have access to seminars or webinars where we held discussions on this topic, on the gender topic. And then there's, of course, the national trainings and workshops. And finally, the multiplier action. So this multiplier action is not, it's meant for everyone. If you want to be part of the work package or you want to be part of SOLTRAIN, please do reach out to the national institutions representing SOLTRAIN, and you can become part of the project. So in conclusion, I would like to say bridging the gender gap is not just about fairness. It's all about making renewable energy more smarter, more creative, or more innovative, as well as more sustainable. So what I have for you today is a challenge, not only for you, but for you and I, is that what can you and I do to bring more women into this space? So I leave you with that challenge, and allow me also to inform you that I'm the youngest core team member of SOLTRAIN Gender Plus. Thank you so much.
Thank you, women, for that beautiful, scientific, well-detailed presentations. Clearly, the work that SOLTRAIN has been doing in the region, not only in Botswana, will one day demystify the myth that will exist in the future. From the findings that we've just seen from your study, there is still a very low percentage of women who are participating in the energy sector. And from what you have elaborated as mitigants, we're very confident that one day, through the bursaries, through the training, and through the call for the opportunities that you shared, many women will take advantage of these to make sure that they upskill themselves to really bridge the gap that has just been shown. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to call upon on stage Ms. Kate Mapare. Ms. Kate Mapare is the Managing Director for Solar One. Solar One is a solar company that was set up in 2009 and has been active in various stakeholder consultative fora to support the development of the solar industry in Botswana. She will be sharing her success stories. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome for Ms. Mapare.
I wish I could say good morning, because it is difficult to keep people up at this time of day after a good Botswana lunch. But good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and I'd like to take the opportunity to recognize Minister Chombo. I'm inspired. Thank you very much. I recognize all the other dignitaries in the conference hall this afternoon. The President has duly set the stage in terms of how we acknowledge all dignitaries. So all protocol observed, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor to speak with you this afternoon as you deliberate on all aspects, really, impacting and impacted by the decision, our decision, shall I say, of all the people that are in this room and beyond, to accelerate about accelerating sustainable energy solutions to ensure and assure reliable and sustainable energy for this generation and the youth that the minister refers to, and basically generations beyond. Our conversations around women in renewable energy is really about as it has been mentioned many times, let no one be left behind. Or in a different way, all hands on deck. And that together, as the President indicated, we can achieve more. When I was asked to speak, I readily accepted, thinking I was going to speak about really the wider energy space. And as I engaged with the conference organizers, I realized that I was expected to talk about myself. And as a modest Motswana, that is a difficult conversation to have. So pardon me if I seem like I'm meandering a little bit. I don't see myself as a successful woman. I see myself as a woman who's on a journey to success, I hope. I want to believe that my experience in the industry is important, perhaps, for women. And that is what perhaps I will share by and large. To some extent, I will also share a little bit of what I have been up to since I started in 2009. When I think of successful women in the solar thermal space, one stands out, and this is Dr. Maria Telkes, AKA the Sun Queen, as she was known. She did excellent work in research, academia, manufacturing areas for solar thermal solutions. And she was really a solution-driven woman whose innovations and solutions were used far and wide in society to solve real problems. Her solutions and innovations were used in times of war and for daily ordinary needs in the space of energy. So as I journey through the world of solar and solar thermal in particular, I know we have some way to go as women, but we are encouraged because we stand on strong shoulders of women who decided as far back as the 1900s to say we can against all odds. I know each one of you has a definition of what success looks like. Some of us, it is millions of dollars in the bank. Some of us, social impact, and perhaps the minister, social impact, the impact on youth, the impact on community. For you, perhaps the youth and the engineers, it is disruptive innovation. That is what you're gunning for, and that is your definition of success. These are but a few examples of what success could mean to each one of you sitting in this room this afternoon. In the thermal space, mine, however, is really to see every roof bearing, as I say, the heavy load of a solar thermal collector, solar heater collector on every roof. That is what I perceive or think of as success for me in this space. My definition, in addition, of success is the understanding of decision makers of the significant contribution each family that owns a solar water heater or whatever solar thermal piece of equipment makes to the reduction of demand on the grid, first and foremost, and the increase of the ability of the country, our respective countries, to meet our CO2 emissions, one little step at a time. I came across Robin Sharma and his 5 a.m. club, which is a fad, I think, these days. Everybody's read it. And he has a concept called day stacking. And day stacking really says daily little successes. Daily little successes contribute eventually to big annual successes. So to borrow the concept, I see the contribution made by the solar water heating systems, or potentially that could be made by the solar water heating systems owned by each family. And, it seems insignificant. I call it renewable energy stacking. I don't know how many of you in the room, and I'd like to follow, how many of you have solar water heaters on their roofs? Can I see by a show of hands? Wow, we've got a long way to go for sure. For me, I really would like to see supportive policy and regulation that would encourage families to install a variety of solar thermal systems. For now, I'm focused on families. I understand there are bigger systems out there. But we said no one will be left behind, and that this is our inclusive journey. And so one is looking for how we can bring on board each and everyone to participate. The benefits are many, and they are both great and some seemingly small. I think of the kind of woman that the minister referred to. Some rural woman maybe saved a trip into the bush to go and collect firewood for boiling water for the children before they can go to school, for cooking a meal for their family, if they had a solar water heater in the home. And that time that is saved can be used for something more productive for her family. This is a small but important example for our Africa. As the minister said, this is for the rich, but there are real people out there who need our solutions. For those who have access to electricity, for example, it would save them some money. And everybody would like that, I'm sure. It would add value to their property. And at the end of it all, amongst the many, many examples that exist of value that could be delivered by encouraging the use of solar thermal in its different ways, is as we install these systems, we reduce the demand on the grid. Our BPC sits with a deficit as we speak, and as we take off 50%, if we recall, of our energy requirements or power is spent on water heating. And if we find a solution, if we use the Pareto rule as we are taught, that is really a big hammer that could help. As we scurry around working on the build projects, we could actually find some energy, some power, some electricity to do other things, and who knows, to even sell onto the SAPP. Wouldn't that be nice for BPC? And the list goes on of the benefits that could be enjoyed if we were to encourage adoption of these technologies. But back to my journey before I got sidetracked by bringing the value of bringing on board our households in one way or another. And for me, this was the solution for making sure that this is our journey as a nation. And I imagine other countries, other countries would look at it the same way. Back in 2009, we set up a company. 100 Solar One is a 100% female-owned business, and it has remained so since then. We have weathered many storms, you agree, COVID included, and we are grateful that we are still standing today. As a founder of the company, I came from a background of, I guess, economically impactful industries, mining and telecommunications. And I'm not an engineer. I don't know how I always find myself in these engineering industries. I have participated in other industries as well, and these two stood out for me as economically impactful. And when we know the diamond story, the mining story, and what it has done for Botswana's economy, it is in that context that I say it's an industry that is impactful. Having seen the positive impact of the mobile telephone industry that I was involved in, and the lives and the impact on ordinary lives, especially the rural poor. I have many stories to share in that space, but I shan't today. I was inspired to identify an industry that could achieve similar impact. The solar industry was the industry I chose, and that was back in 2009. I dare say there was very little happening back in 2009, and somebody may have said, were you foolish? What were you doing? What were you thinking? At the time, one of the key decisions that I made was to participate in all activities that would enable the creation of the cake, as I called it. So I participated in reference groups. I participated, the reference groups that the government created. I remember the feed-in tariff reference group. I remember this Pakalani 1.5 megawatt solar plant, PV plant, to name but a few. But really, I participated because I felt it was important to create an environment where an industry could call a conference that could fill an auditorium or a conference room as big as this. When we started back then, I do not think, as part of the Solar Association back then, I was the secretary at some point, the Solar Association of Industry of Botswana, we could have attracted that many people to even fill half the room. My view was it was important to build the industry, and I'm happy to see this as evidence of an industry that has significantly moved forward. What have I observed in terms of the inclusion of women? Diversity has always been important. That's why our company is still female-owned. We have observed, statistics have been shared, and they really do indicate a participation level of still below 40% of women in this space. So we do have some way to go. But I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged because I, for example, sit on a group, a WhatsApp group that has about 700 women who are involved in the build industry and the energy industry. So I want to believe that this message, to get them involved in the solar thermal space, will eventually reach their ears. When we started back then, as I said, there was very little activity in the industry. One of the things that we did as an industry is to really try to understand why there was such little activity, such little growth, such little interest. And research that we did at the time indicated that the key concerns that people had with solar equipment, whether thermal or PV, was its quality and the quality of the installations.
Ms. Mapare, kindly mind the time and kindly conclude soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I don't even know which way to go first, but we really focused on trying to address those issues as an association to try and gain interest in the industry. As a company, what challenges did we face? I want to believe that the challenges we faced were cross-cutting, really, both for female-owned businesses and non-female-owned businesses. So issues like limited market, because I'm talking in the context of Botswana, we should remember. The limited market, we're talking about skilled manpower, and in here, we're talking about the skilling of women and the participation of women and youth as well. We face challenges around financing. Those continue, and this conference continues to talk about that. So, really in conclusion, what hopes do we harbor? We would like to see more women in the industry. And in that regard, as I said, I remain optimistic. In the 14 years of operation, I have observed the need for women to step forward and claim their place in the sun, pardon the pun. It is an odd world because it seems to attract more men than women. And therefore, perhaps, there's always a level of discomfort, social discomfort, that as a woman, I am surrounded by men all the time. So perhaps there is an issue. But there's also an issue of we are working out in the beautiful African sun, the discomfort associated with that, But as I said, I'm encouraged because I see women like the ones I'm with here, with Selma here, involved in the industry, and I want to believe that we are about to see a big change in the involvement of women in solar thermal. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mema Pare, for such a very beautiful delivery. And from the show of hands, it shows that we have a long way. But I must say that the SOLTRAIN initiative should be very ready for the number of people who will be very motivated when we leave this session to go and have solar heaters up in their roof. So, ladies and gentlemen, the last activity of this session, I will call upon on stage Professor Kevin Naigwe. Professor Kevin Naigwe is a professor from Mechanical Engineering Faculty in the University of Botswana, and he's also the Faculty Quality Assurance Committee member, chair. His work is mainly centered in renewable energy technology. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome for Prof.
Thank you, ma'am. My job is usually as short as I am. So, gentlemen and ladies, join me as I welcome back to the stage the Honorable Minister for Youth and Gender. Accompanied by the hosts, the University of Botswana, and our special guests who are seated on these seats.
I'm just going to take a picture and I'll take the gift.
All right, for our picture session this afternoon with the minister, we're not just going to snap with this group. We're going to take one with this group. And if you are as young as the minister, please join the stage. If you're in this hall and you're as young as the minister, could you please come to the stage? We want to celebrate this rare, beautiful message from Botswana. Younger, that is, let her be the bar. If you are younger, at her age, please come. If you don't remember your age, just check your ID.
Prof, is this where you invite everyone on stage to say energy? Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we witness what is probably the most exciting group photo moment that we've witnessed this week, do be reminded that you will have an opportunity to have off-the-record conversations, meet and greet opportunities with your fellow delegates and some of the speakers a little bit later on at the networking cocktail. All international delegates and domestic delegates are invited for this networking cocktail, and it is hosted by one of the sponsors of this event.
Ladies and gentlemen, with that, we have come to the end of our afternoon session. I would like to take this wonderful opportunity to first of all thank the presenters, and more than anything to thank all you all for taking time for coming and join and audience this beautiful delivery. Lekamoso. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're kindly reminded that we are now breaking for tea. Do enjoy it, and when we return, it will be session 1A.4, Solar Thermal Initiatives and Advantages by moderator Dr. Karen Surridge, Sanity from South Africa. Once again, tonight's networking cocktail is brought to you by Conrad Adeno Stiftung.
Please, all SOLTRAIN partners, the minister would like a picture with you. SOLTRAIN partners, may you please make your way to the stage.
The 2024 Sadc Sustainable Energy Week is proudly sponsored by Conrad Adeno Stiftung, Prime Health, Gabs FM, The Projects, Okavango Diamond Company, BERA, Botswana Energy Regulatory Authority, Botswana Oil, Botswana Power Corporation, and Boffinet. You're reminded that for your convenience, Prime Health has set up a mobile clinic in these premises. If you require any medical attention, the Prime Health team will be happy to assist. The clinic is located in the sales office here at Grand Palm, and if you have any requirement for further direction, kindly speak to one of the ushers of this event. Thank you for your kind attention.